This has got to be one of the craziest things I've ever set my eyes on. Can you really get an entire table saw that fits in the palm of your hand? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out today as we dive into this box and take a look at this unique mini table saw. It's gotta be a gimmick, right? As there's no way a table saw that can fit inside this box can be useful in our shop. Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out today. In order to find tools that are interesting to look at, I do a lot of what I like to call Amazoning deep, which is just going down the Amazon rabbit hole trying to find the tools that nobody talks about. And if you do this enough, there's one tool that keeps on popping up, and that's exactly what we're taking a look at today. And in today's video, we're going to be unboxing, assembling, and testing this unique little tool. So let's get into it and take this mini table saw out of the box. You know, my buddy and I started a business where we weigh small items like that. Yeah, it's a small scale operation. So as I dive into this box, I'm realizing there's a lot in here that really doesn't have anything to do with a table saw, which immediately intrigues me a bit, as it looks like this saw not only has saw capabilities, but also sanding and rotary tool, which seems like a lot of functions for something that's in such a small package. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all comes together. Let's first take a look at all the accessories. Now, I'm always a little bit hesitant when I see a tool with this many accessories. Let's first take a look at those rotary tool accessories. As you can see, there's a handheld rotary extension along with an Allen key and all the accessories, which include buffers, sanders, and even some metal cutting accessories. And there's so damn many of them that I'm not going to bore you with that, but if you'd like to see what comes with it, pause the video right here and you can see all the accessories in one shot. Now, the rotary tool isn't the only secondary feature with this saw, as it also has a disc sander. And once again, there's a whole lot of accessories for this disc sander, and it appears that this sander uses a hook and loop system. Now, this tool uses 3-inch sanding discs, and out of the box it comes with 10 sanding pads, ranging in grits from 120 all the way up to 1000. And all of this sandpaper can be easily attached using that hook and loop system to the sanding disc itself. And if you look at the other two accessories that come with this tool can not only be used as a sander, but also a buffer, as this tool also comes with a buffer and a sponge using that same hook and loop system. And all that's great, but what I really got this tool for was the table saw. Now, this tool takes some of the smallest blades you've probably ever seen, coming in at a measurement of about 2.5 inches wide. And it's going to come with a total of 4 blades. Let's take a look at those. And these blades include a resin saw blade, a diamond saw blade, a high-speed hacksaw, as well as an alloy saw blade. And I'll be interested to see if the motor on this thing is powerful enough to cut through anything. The last accessory that I want to talk about with the table saw is pretty funny. This might be the world's smallest miter gauge, with a width of 2¼ inches and a height of 3/4. And finally, you'll find a bunch of other accessories, including some hardware, the smallest table saw fence you've ever seen, and a power cord. So as you can tell, there's a lot to deal with that's inside this box. But now that we've got this thing unboxed, let's start to put this thing together. And hopefully it's not too difficult, as tools with this many accessories always tend to intimidate me. But let's get this tiny table saw assembled. Speaking of tiny things, I went to the library and asked them if they got that book I reserved for men with small manhood. She said, "It's not in yet." I said, "Yep, that's the one." Let's first get this table saw looking like a table saw. To do that, we're first going to slide in the miter gauge. With that miter gauge in place, let's now install the fence. To do that, we'll simply slide 2 wing nuts through the base of the table saw fence, place it on top of the table saw, and use these square nuts to hold it into place. And once that fence is installed, we can now direct our attention to the safety baffle. We'll first take the protective cover off of the baffle. With that cover now removed, we can take our spacer, screw it into the table saw fence, and lock it into place with the screw on top. Now, this is kind of a nice safety feature, although I'm not quite sure how much protection this will provide. And the last thing that we need to do to get this table saw running is to install the blade. So let's do that right now. We'll first take the blade, slide it into the table saw, and slide it right onto that arbor. With our blade now in place, we can then take our locking sleeve, slide it over that arbor, and take our extended Allen wrench and take an M4 screw and tighten it into place. And I'll have to say, installing that blade's not very easy. You kind of need some tiny fingers for this tiny saw. But now that everything's put together, you can see it kind of resembles a table saw. But as we said earlier, this also has a sanding and rotary capability. Let's take a look at how that works. Now, if you read the instructions, it says that you should attach this drill chuck to the side of the table saw. There's just one problem with that. I've probably spent the last 45 minutes trying to get that thing attached to the side. In my case, the collars are incompatible, and I even tried to remove the sleeve on the side and it just won't come off. But the good news is you don't really need that chuck, so I'm not quite sure why why they include it unless it's part of an older system. To attach either the rotary tool or the sander, it's a pretty easy process. All you need to do is to loosen up the 2 hex screws right on the base of the tool. With the 2 screws loosened up, you can either slide in either the sanding disc or the rotary tool and tighten up both of those screws once again. And with either one of those 2 secondary features installed, the table saw is now fully assembled. And there's only one more thing left to do, and that's to plug it in and turn it on and see how this thing works. And it's right when I flip that switch that I realize what an idiot I am. And I guess this goes to show how incredibly weak those instructions are. Or maybe it's just me, probably the latter. Now you can install either the rotary tool or the sanding disc as we just showed. But if we look on the side with the power switch, you can see there's a knob that perfectly fits that chuck. And if we use the saw as intended, this is where you'll add the chuck and insert the sanding disc for a permanent home. And the nice thing about having that chuck is you could much more easily switch out that sanding disc to the rotary tool. Or you could even have that sanding disc on one side and the rotary tool on the other. Well, now that we've got this thing correctly assembled, let's do some test cuts on this tiny tool. Did you hear about the tiny psychic that escaped from prison? Yeah, it's a small, medium, at large. Now, one of the first things that I noticed when I flip this thing on is this thing is really quiet. Now, I'm not quite sure what I was expecting, but you can barely hear this tool. Let's start to look at how that table saw operates first. If we move the table saw fence, you can see it has capacity going from about 0 to 3 5/8 of an inch. And the table saw fence is locked into place by screwing the 2 wing nuts on top of the fence. Now, I've never been a big fan of fences like this because if you have the top screw in towards the blade just a little bit, it can cause kickback. But with a table saw this small, kickback's going to be a little less drastic. The next thing that we need to talk about is the cutting capacity, as this blade is stationary and doesn't have the ability to move up and down. If I take my tape measure, I'm getting just a little bit over 1/2 of an inch, so you're not going to be able to cut through 3/4 inch pieces of plywood. If we next take a look at the miter gauge, you will notice that it does have a nice 180-degree rotation. However, there's no indicator mark to show you where you're at. So let's do a couple of test cuts with this table saw. I'm first going to use a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, then we can cut through some cherry, and finally through some hickory flooring. And if it makes it through that hickory, that's going to be pretty impressive, as this hickory is even harder than maple and walnut. So let's fire this thing up and start off with that plywood. So as you can see, as I'm pushing this plywood through the table saw, you can see that the saw is constantly stalling, which doesn't bear well for this saw, but it was cutting at its maximum capacity of 1/2 inch. But let's give it another shot by cross-cutting a thinner piece of cherry. Now this cherry is about 1/4 of an inch thick, and it really doesn't have much problem with it, which is a good sign. But let's do one more cut on that piece of hickory. And since we know it had a hard time with that plywood, I've planed this hickory down to 1/4 of an inch thick. And once again, you can see it's continuing to stall on this 1/4 inch hickory. So unless your plan is to cut popsicle sticks, toothpicks, or even chopsticks, I'm not sure this saw is really worth it. But what about the sanding disc? Let's take a look at that next. For this, I'm just going to take a 2x4, place some 120 grit sandpaper on that disc, and see if we can smooth out one edge. Now, one of my first concerns with this is when you turn on that sanding disc, the blade is also moving, so you need to be very careful to make sure that you're not interfering with that blade. And this becomes especially dangerous when you go to sand, as there's no rest to place your workpiece, and you might grab the table saw to stabilize it. Now it does indeed stand, and I was able to round over one edge, but I really don't like the fact that that blade is still in the saw. So if you use a sander, I would definitely remove the blade. But by not having a rest for your workpiece, I'm not sure you're going to be able to get a consistent sand with this tool. But let's give it one more shot with the rotary tool. I'm going to place a little drum sander into the tip of the rotary. And for this, let's just take a piece of that cherry and see if we can smooth out some of those corners. And I'll have to say that this feature of the tool actually works pretty well. In fact, it works just as well as any of my other rotary tools. But if this thing's only good enough to use as a rotary tool, the footprint of it isn't as small as you thought. And finally, there is one last issue that I'd like to discuss before we wrap up this video, as I actually cut my finger on this saw while doing all these tests. If we flip the tool around and look on the back of the saw, you'll see that the saw blade is actually exposed. And in my opinion, that's just a little bit too dangerous, as that saw blade is exposed, and when you turn it on, it will also rotate. And that, along with having the sander rotate as well as the rotary tool rotate, are just 3 moving parts that I just don't like to have in one spot. So for me, I'm going to stick to a tool that has one function and is a heck of a lot safer. Well, I had a whole lot of fun checking out this saw, and I hope that I answered any questions for any of you that might have been curious about this saw just like myself. If you haven't already, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video, as it really does help out this woodworking channel. Also, if you haven't already, check out my website, flynndogwoodwork.com, where you can find all sorts of fun woodworking accessories like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. And if you'd like to support this channel further, check out my channel memberships in the description below, where you can get early access to all my videos as well as one member video a week. Until next time, take care as always. All right, let's get it, folks. What's more difficult than getting your pregnant wife in a Mini Cooper? Getting your wife pregnant in a Mini Cooper. Oh, good. Jeez. Let's try this one. Did you hear New York had its first ever tiny wiener pageant? Yeah, the competition was stiff, but nobody noticed. All right, last try. You know I love cooking meat for tiny men. Make no mistake.